coverage of the 2015 World Orienteering Championships. A very good afternoon to you all. I'm Dan McLennan, and I'll be joined later by Clive Allen and Catherine Bench, who'll be keeping us up to date on the moves of the sprint final, the second major event of the championship. The final's being staged in the former Royal Borough of Forres, a small town. Population is 12,500, and it's renowned for its impressive fans and gardens. Needs to be appreciated from the main race arena. Today's event is the sprint, the only format that has qualification heats to determine who runs in today's final. These heats were held on the first Friday of the competition in Forres. The sprint is now a well-established format in the Orienteering Championship, but has only really come into prominence since the turn of the century. The first WOC sprint was in fact in 2001. Some athletes, but perhaps not as many as we might expect, have become known as sprint specialists. Usually, but not always, urban terrain, slightly different from yesterday's relay event, and it can also be a mixture. The weather conditions today, the temperature is round about 16 degrees, slightly warmer.
I can't hear a thing.
Humidity is 59%, and we think that that could lead to rain later on. Should be on them.
Especially with Judith Meader and Toby Alexanderson withdrawing, it makes it a lot more open in this running field today. And then also in men, we saw the three men qualifying fairly smoothly with Christian Joseph particularly looking very impressive, almost cruising into the finish. So we're set very well for a...
Yeah, now I've got you. I'm okay now. Now it is okay. Carry on, Sudan. Yes, thank you.
That's the map of Forres, the main town that we are concentrating on today. We're on the fringe of the town, leading to the parkland, the bowling green there in the middle, and the runners will go to the east to control 14, and then turn back through some parkland, and then head back out again to the eastern end of the town, near the old road towards Aberdeen, where they then string back in towards the park and head again once to the run-in and the finish, and the distance is 3.8 kilometres for the women. Clive Allen, slightly different from yesterday's terrain in that we don't have a beach run, but we do have a very urban environment.
Yes, we do, and a very complicated town centre here with a lot of little alleyways and dead ends and one thing and another. You've got pictures of part of it here. Our free runner is showing you some of the kind of terrain that the runners will be passing through here. There are quite a few uncrossable walls on the map, and as you can see, little gaps in them from time to time, which will affect route choice, and there are some extremely complex route choices on this course today. And some of them take the runners way off the straight line between the two controls, so it's going to be extremely fascinating to see how they go. This is the old A96 main road through the heart of the town, which has been closed for the competition today, and here you can see the kind of little alleyway that the competitors will be using. Venels they're called, Hudan, I believe, in the local language.
Yep.
And here is some of the typical Scottish architecture that you can see. Now we come into the women's start list, Hudan.
And there is some very late and some very important news in terms of the runners, as we'll get to particularly the fastest runners towards the end of the list, and that principally is that Judith Wieder from Switzerland is not running. She's withdrawn, and so has Tove Alexanderson from Sweden. Now that's got huge implications for the race. First of all, the reasons for the withdrawal, Clive.
Yes, they're both due to injury. Tove Alexanderson has a foot injury which she got on the sprint qualification, and she's decided she'd save her foot for the Forest races later in the week. And Judith Wieder, as we all saw yesterday, was absolutely shattered by the end of the race and a little bit injured. And although they were optimistic this morning, the latest news was that no, she won't run today.
Now, we're second guessing this, but what does that mean for Maija Alam, for example, and Minna Kauppy from Finland?
Well,
it must open the door for them to have not exactly an easier run, but a more confident run, knowing that these two have disappeared from the start list.
Yes, I think Maya Alm in particular is saying to herself, this is really my chance, you know. She's everybody's odds-on favourite to win now, whereas previously Tova and Judith both came into the frame. Minna Kalpi also, though, and one or two others will fancy their chances. Minna Kalpi has achieved it all in her time, and she seems to be on very good form.
What about these animations now that we're seeing here? The route choices, again, different to yesterday, but absolutely critical.
They are absolutely critical, and you've got a good example there on the screen a moment or two ago of how they are. But here we're looking at the first starter ready to go, Hugh Dan.
Imogen Scott from New Zealand is the first starter, and they'll start with minute gaps. There will, of course, be 2-minute gaps where the two runners have withdrawn later in the sequence, but that's our first runner underway. And we'll be tracking them as they go round the course, and they'll be appearing here in Grant Park as well. Large crowd has moved from Nairn here to Grant Park in the middle of the parkland setting. Magnificent setting in the middle of forest. The atmosphere is as vibrant as it was yesterday. I think yesterday has given the tournament a fantastic start, Clive.
Yes, it certainly has, and we've got a huge crowd here, many of whom have actually been in a nearby forest running this morning, come down now to support their teams, and we will expect just as vibrant an atmosphere today as the competition builds up as we had yesterday.
If it's anything nearly as good as it was yesterday, particularly in the closing stages, we're in for a particular treat. The second runner, Mariana Moreira from Portugal, is off and running, having to make her instant choices as they leave the start line.
I think we should say, perhaps at this point, we've got 23 nations represented in the women's final today, and of these, 7 of the nations have had all of their runners qualify for the final. 3 qualification heats, and therefore 3 for these nations. And they had, in fact, the chance of a 4th if they had the current world champion, and that was Switzerland's situation until Judith Wieder, who is the current champion, has had to withdraw today.
Now, with respect to the home interest, there's always home interest. We have an early representation, and we'll see shortly Ruth Holmes from Great Britain and Alison Leake going away in 6th and 8th places. We're now seeing the third runner, the Australian Rachel Effany, is the third to take off. What do you make of the Great British qualification, Clive?
Well, it's really pleasing for them that all 3 qualified. And Catherine, our statistician, who is beside me here, is very excited because 2 of the runners are from her home club. Isn't that right, Catherine?
Yeah, that's right. Ruth Holmes and Alice Leake both run for Southern Navigators here in Great Britain, and I'm really excited about their prospects. I think this terrain is much more technical than Friday, so it's really going to benefit Ruth Holmes in particular. I know she's really looking forward to this.
Thanks, Catherine.
Charlotte Ward is running quite late in the sequence, so she must be in terms of her time in the heats, she must be in with a realistic prospect, Catherine.
Yeah, I think her starting later means she's got a better seeding. She's going to be running alongside possibly quicker runners, the likes of Maya Alm that we were talking about earlier. Although, you know, the two terrains are quite different, and depending on if she's had a good rest day, a good chance to recover from that race, it could really affect her race today, and it's really all to play for.
The next runner is away now, Adela Indrakova from Czechoslovakia.
Yes, the women's British team are here with masses of support. We're looking across at Ruth Holmes' family gathering in the crowd there, and there are many other Brits here to support the team. It's great that they've all got through.
I think they must have spotted that we were talking about them, but it's not quite Henman Hill, but it's not far off. It's some of the other runners, the pre-runners arriving in the Grant Park finish area, which is right in front of us. We're perfectly positioned for the champagne splash, which we got from the victorious Danish team yesterday. And our next runner is Anna Nilsson-Simkovic, Austria. And counted down, and that's the 5th runner underway, so we have a British runner next. Ruth Holmes will be the next to go in a minute's time. And the conditions slightly more humid than yesterday, but no real threat of rain, Clive, at this stage. If anything, it's slightly oppressive. Will that affect the running, do you think?
Not on this course, I don't think particularly, no. I think they'll find the conditions quite reasonable. They might get a bit sweaty, a bit hot, but it won't affect their overall effect. There is rain forecast, which may start before the end of the men's race, so we'll see how it goes, but it'll be okay
But
today.
we don't have the wind we had yesterday,
No,
which was
no.
bitterly cold at one point.
Yeah, no, it's nice and comfortable today.
Ruth Holmes, then. We can feel the temperature rising in front of us and the Union flags being waved in anticipation as Ruth Holmes gets ready, because the audience in Grant Park, the spectators, can see these pictures as well. Some great response there for Ruth Holmes as she takes off, digesting the map instantly.
And she looked very focused there too, as we come into the course now.
Now this is Imogen Scott, who was the first runner at 5:13 to the first visual check we have on them as they set off. And they're the next runner coming in, the Portuguese runner, Mariana Morieri. Not forcing the pace, perhaps wisely at this stage in the first part of it. And there the road, the old main road towards Aberdeen, where the runners will disappear up the Vennels, as Clive described them, the alleyways, some of which are closed off, we understand, and some have walled obstacles, which will make it a particular challenge for runners who haven't anticipated that the route might come to a very abrupt halt. And
yes, they've got to read their map quite carefully in these situations. The uncrossable walls are marked with a particularly heavy black line, which are quite conspicuous as long as they actually are looking for them and reading them. There's so much detail on the map that there's quite a lot to take in when you're trying to decide on a route choice, and something can so easily be overlooked.
the variety of terrain also, Clive. Yesterday we had everything from beach to heavy undergrowth. Today you have the concrete, very hard surface, very firm, and then you go into parkland, so there's that adjustment to be taken into account as well.
Yes, that's right. Yes, there's quite a lot of adjustment to be made, and some of the route choices are quite different in character when they get out into the parkland areas.
I think Catherine has an update for us on who is showing the earliest surge of form.
Yeah, that was just Rachel Effney that you just saw running for Australia. She has the fastest split so far to the first radio control of 2 minutes 51 seconds. About 20 seconds already ahead of Marina from Portugal, Mariana Moreira from Portugal.
Now we saw yesterday how leads can disappear very quickly in the relay, and that's always a factor that the runners on the course at this stage have no idea how the pace will develop later. You see there 26.1 seconds, and then the next runner, Imogen Scott, is well over a minute. How easy is it to make up these times, Clive? We have to see it unfolding quite a bit before we can see the pattern emerging.
Yes, we actually do, and it will unfold gradually into a more and more intense affair as the more experienced runners come through. Some of these runners are taking a little bit of time to choose their routes and find their way and so on. And you can see here from the pictures that when you're crossing the high street, you've got to be pretty careful to realise exactly where you are.
They have to pick their bearings up very quickly, and it's all about flow and keeping.
Yes, and this girl here, Adila Indrakova from the Czech Republic, showed that there. She was reading her map on the run. She had a nice steady pace. She knew where she was going. She knew where she was, and that's what you've got to establish as quickly as possible. Getting into the map, getting into the race.
So the spectators in the middle of Nairn, and this is the view we have. Almost we're to the left of that particular picture, looking into that crowd who are giving us a big wave at the moment, because all the British fans seem to have commandeered the hill in front of us, directly above that. And we'll be rejoining the starting sequence of our transmission shortly. And that's the view of the centre of Forres. As you join us, if you've just joined the pictures, the World Orienteering Championships from Highland region in Scotland. The second of the major championships, the sprint final, is well underway now. We have something like 12 runners, I think, on the course so far, making their headway away from this area. They'll re-emerge behind us here at Grant Park towards the finish line. The temperature maintaining round about 16 degrees. It's quite warm, much warmer than yesterday because there's no wind. Humidity is about 60% or thereabouts. Slight breeze, we could do with just a little bit more wind. There's the territory we have. Mixture of urban, classically some historical, more historical buildings than there were in yesterday's relay. And no beach running today. The distance to the first control in the women's race is 1.1 kilometres, and then they head out to the west before returning back into the main area of the town, crisscrossing the centre of town.
Yes, they have a lot of town running on this course, but then suddenly go into bits of parkland and more intricate areas where there's a bowling green and other special features. And here they're coming through a spectator passage in the arena, across the very, very flat park that we're in, Grant Park, a little intricate corner in the far northeastern part of the course, across back to the final control, number 21 there, and into the finish here, after 3.8 kilometres, with many very intricate route choices on this 21 control course.
And we'll be looking to a completion time of about 15 minutes. Here's some of the scenery and the challenges, the particular challenges and different types of environment that the runners will face, and the particular challenges they have entering parkland from basically main roads, flat grassland surfaces. We saw some of that yesterday through the very picturesque centre of Murris, which is famous for its floral portrayals and its Britain in Bloom trophies, and alongside the water features. And already there's some movement out in the course. Catherine?
Yeah, well, Rachel Effney of Australia is currently in the lead, although Imogen Scott has gone through the third radio control in first place, then she was the first place runner. In terms of British interest, it looks pretty good at the moment, obviously, although very early into the race, with Alice Leake taking a second lead, just over a second lead over Ruth Holmes at the second radio control of a time just under 5 minutes.
So we have two British runners on the course at the moment, Ruth Holmes and Alice Leake, who are away in 6th and 8th place. And there's the order and the start list. And if you didn't pick it up earlier, the big news at the starting line was that we've had two major withdrawals this afternoon. Tove Alexanderson, who was bidding for a gold medal, having won 2 silver medals, has unfortunately had to withdraw, as has Judith Wieder, who was in some distress yesterday, finishing in the sprint relay. So opportunities for others, no doubt, and very unfortunate that both, we don't know if they'll be able to appear later in the tournament, but certainly both due to injury not running today. And that's a blow to the championship, I suppose, to have runners of that class, to lose them at the last minute.
It is. It's a great shame, both for them, obviously, and for all of us, because, as we said a little while ago, Maya Alm is now the odds-on favourite.
And our New Zealand runner has just joined us, just cantered past us. Imogen Scott has come into Grant Park and is disappearing away over to our left and heading back out into the forest, into the trees. And that's the direction they will appear from eventually as they head towards the line, towards this crowd on the hill just opposite us. They're ideally positioned just below the red building there, is directly on the finish line. That's the best view in the house, the second best view. In fact, the very best view in the house is the view we have. And number 2 and number 3, Mariana Moreira of Portugal and Rachel Effney of Australia. have gone through Grant Park. There's something like 20, 30 yards, 20 metres perhaps between them. Both going well as they pass that control.
Yes, and Rachel Effney is the one forcing the pace. She's the fastest of them, and she's gone through this area in a time of just over 12.5 minutes and has just 4 controls to go before coming into the finish, this little loop in the park northeast corner.
She certainly got Moriera in her sights, because I would have said that the gap was narrowing as they disappeared out the far side of the arena. Our next runner is the Italian, Lia Pacciaider, number 17. We should have had 45. We will have 43 women runners in total. So we're almost at halfway.
Yes, we've 43 runners altogether in the race today. The one who started just before the Italian there was Caroline Olsson from Sweden, who had a particularly good run on the last leg in the sprint relay yesterday. Faded a little bit towards the end, but she did well, and we could look for her making a mark on the race in a few minutes' time.
And there's such a sense of anticipation round the arena.
Yes, everybody's looking out towards the last control for the first finisher, who is going to be...
And here she comes. She's in sight now. Imogen Scott has appeared away to our left, coming down the incline and looping round to join the main body of the spectators. She's got to go on another loop here, actually, to go round behind the red building. Here she comes. In front of the red building now, coming up towards the line. 16, almost 17 minutes. Imogen Scott in good shape. The first of the runners home. And it's been tough going. 16 minutes, 53, 54.6. 16:54.6.
And Ruth Holmes in the picture there.
Ruth Holmes, the first of the British runners underway, and Effney is obviously picking up the pace and doing well as she comes in, because she seems to be the fastest so far. Rachel Effney from Australia, running very well. Perhaps a bit more heavy-legged as she reaches the end, understandably, because she did put a surge on, I would say about 2/3 of the way through. Indrakova of the Czech team making a move. Good rhythm through the control point. No delay from Ruth Holmes, managing to work the map as she heads for the arena.
But slower than Rachel Effney's time, actually, at that control there. The time at the bottom showed the time from the leader ticking away as she approached the control.
And there's Rachel Effney coming in. She put a lot into the second third of the race there, and she didn't quite manage to make up the ground on Moriera. And here's Alice Leake. Well, that's a direct route.
Yes.
Straight over the fence. There's no point in hanging around. And obviously the British crowd have spotted that Alice Leake is making her way through the floral area. Up the steps and onwards. And number 4, Adela Indrakova, has come in from the Czech team. And all the runners are feeling the pace. The times, Clive?
Yes, and Adela Indrakova's come in the new fastest time, 15:44.7 there, ahead of Rachel Effney by just 19 seconds. And we watched Alice Leake go through the TV control there, the second TV control, and the fastest so far. She's beaten Rachel Effney to that point by 11.5, so Alice Leake is really going well there, Catherine.
Oh, this is a great run from Alice. She's looking really, really strong out there, flowing really, really well through terrain. She must be so pleased with how her race is going at the moment.
Yes, and she looked a good deal stronger and faster than Ruth today, I think. But the crowd's getting behind her, that's for sure, and she'll soon be into the...
Yep, they've picked her up, I think.
There we go, in fact.
There, here she comes, coming down the hill, away to our left, to the spectators' right as she comes through, looping round. And meanwhile, out in the course, the Swede Caroline Olsson is making good time, and this is Alice Leake is just coming towards the line now. She's gone on the loop.
So
Number 5 crossing the line now, Anna Nielsen-Simkovic, the Austrian runner.
Alice Leek, the fastest time then through the spectator point of all the competitors out so far. But looking further back, Caroline Olsen, who I mentioned a few minutes ago, the Swede who did so well in the sprint relay yesterday, is the fastest at the first TV point, and it's a time, where are we now? Trying to find where she is related to the others. Oh yes, only a fraction of a second faster than Rachel Effney.
Just a fraction, yeah. The margins, of course, are absolutely minimal at some of these crossover points and some of these changes.
Some tracking coming up on the screen here of Caroline Olsen and the the French girl rather, Bertolotti, just behind her, taking this route through to number 7, both taking a route which is slightly different from the planner's idea of how it should be.
And there the French runner, Bertolotti, is passing behind us, and Ruth Holmes now is in the arena. I think that's her coming round.
Yes, we've got Ruth Holmes there in picture,
finishing well, coming round,
and coming down to the finish now.
Big cheer, great support for Ruth Holmes as she came in, just tiring towards the end. You can see the effort she's put into it, absolutely and utterly finished.
And her time, 16:34.9, puts her into current 4th place of those finished, just 50 seconds down on the current leader.
Laura Ramstein of Austria, making good pace coming round the finishing turn as well. And she's going well, finishing strongly, the Austrian.
So we're waiting now for Alice Leek, who will be coming back into sight fairly soon, and she's still the fastest around the course on our timings here.
Oh, there's another runner just coming in. That could be her, in fact, coming round at the back of the arena. There she is. We've picked her up. We picked them up just as they come into the final straight, and then the loop round into the finish turn. Here she comes, Alice Leek. Good steady pace. No blast for the line because she's totally spent it. She's left everything out there.
But she's the new leader in 15:38.5, 6 seconds faster than the Czech Republic girl Adela Indikova. So a great run from Alice Leek there.
Catherine?
Yeah, she almost caught up a whole minute there on Ruth Holmes, only starting 2 minutes afterwards. I hope Alice will be really pleased with that run. It's a great effort.
And that's the 2 British runners have come in. And overhead, the Seagulls are circling.
And Rachel Effney, who has now finished some time, is still the fastest through the first radio point that we have, from being the 3rd starter today, and we've now got some 25 runners through there, so she's really done pretty well there. And Caroline Olsen, we're just waiting to see how her time comes up at the next TV point.
Xuan Hao, Chinese runner.
Yes, the only Chinese runner in the final.
Out in the town. And there's the tracking of how Effney and Olsen and Alice Leek were combining the comparative.
Yes, it's showing Caroline Olsen's actual run here with the other 2 by comparison. And you can see that Caroline Olsen is quite a bit ahead of Alice Leek, and Rachel Effney was faster than her at that point.
Lia Bertolotti of France has come in.
This is Isia Basset of France. We can see here heading towards the second TV point.
So let's refresh this, Clive. Let's take us through the first 5, for example, and give us just an indication of where we are with the 5 fastest times so far.
Yes, Alice Leek, the fastest in the finish at this time, 6 seconds quicker than Adela Indikova of the Czech Republic. Lia Bertolotti is in 3rd place, 16:01.5, 23 seconds down. Rachel Effney of Australia 4th, Anna Nielsen-Simkovic from Austria 5th, and another Austrian, and then Ruth. Where are we? Laura Ramstein of Austria, then in 7th place.
Well, there isn't a lot between them over the first 6 places. But one suspects that these gaps will narrow significantly. Jenny Patana of Finland.
Yes, I'm waiting to pick up Caroline Olsen here because her time is missing. We're not getting the radio information from her here, which I expected we would get. We are a bit short of the intermediate time information we should be getting. This is Jenny Patana of Finland we've got on picture, coming through the parkland and punching there, and we should have a time on screen, but we've not got it at this moment.
There's one or two technical difficulties there. Crossing the line now, we have number 10, Ara Serralonga Arquez, Spaniard runner, closely followed by Lauriane Beauvisage from France. The heavily strapped left thigh, but she's going well. Turning in towards the line.
And this is going to be quite a good time for our Lauriane. In fact, she's currently in third place, and she's held third place just ahead of Leah Bertolotti, so a new third for France. They have third and fourth places in the finish at this moment.
20 and 23 seconds respectively behind the current leader, Alice Leake from Great Britain.
And Caroline Olsen, we've now a little bit more information on. She's still in the lead, and she's in the picture, I think, here. Yes, she's in the picture heading for the next TV control. But the last report we had, she was still leading by 21 seconds at the last reported point. So, as I thought, this is going to be a new marker time. Caroline Olsen's going to be the one for everybody to beat later in the race, Hugh Dan.
Now, we did mention flow. This is a good example of what we spoke about. Just no halting, just running steadily, using the map, working the terrain as they head back to the park.
Yes, and she's almost caught up the runner who started before her, the Ukrainian runner. Olha Panchenko is the other one in picture there, coming through the spectator area just now behind us. So here you can see the tracking again, showing how Olsen is that much faster than the current leader in the finish, Alice Leake.
So we'd expect her to move, to make a further move perhaps towards the finishing quarter of the course, because she will have a feeling for the pace by now, and she'll know what she's got left.
Caroline Olsen came through here 27 seconds faster than anybody else. That's a pretty good run she's having here, just as she did yesterday in the relay.
Well, that's a very significant margin at this stage of the race. Number 17 is Leah Patscheider, Italian.
Some very nice floral gardens they run through, which is a feature of Forres.
They're very proud of their history in the Britain in Bloom competition.
Do they win it, Hugh Dan?
Regularly. Regularly, yes.
I'm not surprised
and
having
for
seen
a
what
long
I've seen.
time. They're very proud of their achievement.
Yes, yes.
So we have some movement at the top of the leaderboard. Catherine?
Yep, Izia Basse has just gone into third place, pipping Lauriane Beauvisage by 0.2 of a second, so just under 16 minutes overall.
These
are French third, fourth and fifth at the moment.
That's the finishing time, of course, but out on the course we have slightly faster times we would anticipate coming to a conclusion. Number 14 is Jenny Patana, the Finnish runner, finishing well.
But not beating Alice Leake's time. She's going to go into third place, I think, here. Yes.
She might just make third
place with that run.
15, 16.
And she does.
She does. Comfortably in third place now. The margin's becoming tighter and tighter as the faster runners come in.
But now we're going to see a big change, I think, with Caroline Olsen coming to the finish very, very shortly.
Caroline Olsen, number 16, is the one we're all looking for. There's the current standing. Alice Leake is the fastest finisher so far. Adela Indrakova, 6 seconds really adrift. Jenny Patana, we just saw coming in there in third place. And here we are. I think this is the Swedish runner coming into the arena. Caroline Olsen has joined us now.
Yes,
here she comes.
Per Forsberg, the arena speaker's gone into overdrive because he's Swedish.
Working very, very hard. Look at it. Look at the time chunk here. We're heading for a really, really fast time. She's really driving for the line, and that's a superb finish from Olsen. That's taken Olsen into the lead.
44-second lead over Alice Leak. That's a really good run. This is going to be one everybody's going to want to beat. That's a fantastic run for the young Swede.
Olha Panchenko from the Ukraine has followed her in, and that is a massive, massive run. And that could be very significant.
Yes, she's broken the 15-minute barrier by 6 seconds, and that is some going. So, and she looked so strong at the end, Hugh Dan, there. Better than anybody else we've seen by far.
Well, I think she was working harder coming into the arena. She must have had a sense of just how far ahead she was in terms of the relative time. So Caroline Olsen now in the lead, Alice Leak in second place, Adela Indrakova. These are the first or the fastest 3 finishers so far. And at the moment, the Swedes have it. But out on the course, there's plenty of action as the pace hots up.
Yes, we can see Ivona Vika from Poland here running through to the second Iranian control. We've got our graphics back, which is nice. She's way off the pace though. As you can see, she is already 1.5 minutes down on the leading time of Caroline Olsen, coming to the TV control there.
And of course, very different circumstances from yesterday where we had the sprint relay. If you were with us, you know that the Danish team won in spectacular fashion there, and we'll see some of their runners later. The Polish runner, number 20, Iwona Wiczka. Of course, a huge Polish contingent now in the Highlands of Scotland, so plenty of support for the Poles.
Yes, and looking back through the intermediate times, there is nobody at all who's gone out yet who has approached Caroline Olsen's time after the first radio point, where Rachel Effney is still the fastest. We've got Fanny Gurko from Hungary in 3rd fastest time after control 12. That's pretty good going.
Pat Scheider.
We've got her in the picture, in fact, here now.
That's Gurko. Pat Scheider has just crossed the line, number 17 from Italy. And she's in some distress, I think. No, she's back up on her feet. And we have Jenny Patina moving up into 4th place. Caroline Olsen still so far ahead in this, showing how Olsen is making her decisions and how being followed there by Knapova.
Yes, 2 of the faster runners who are behind her, who are, again, not quite up with Olsen's time, but they are within reach of the time, but they're not going to beat her in the finish, I'm sure.
Grigorova.
You can see the time relationship there.
Antonia Grigorova from Bulgaria, number 18, coming in. Finishing strongly, again in good shape. And I have to say, Clive, the runners are finishing in good shape. They seem to have maintained good, steady pace.
Oh yes, oh yes. They're pretty tired when they've got to the end, but they've paced themselves well to get here, most of them. 1 or 2 were very, very slow towards the end, but most of them have paced themselves well. There you can see in the picture there, Rahel Friedrich, who was the first leg runner for the Swiss team in the sprint relay yesterday, out on the course in the early stages, and we'll be following her time closely. She was 2nd fastest at the first radio point, behind Rachel Effney, so a careful and cautious start for her, but she is like that, and I would expect her to get her flow going and be really going strongly before very long.
When the runners are out in the course, Clive, we were talking yesterday about what they could pick up in the arena. But how much will they know about what Olsen has done? Will they have any sense of that at all?
They won't know at all at this stage. When they come through the arena passage, then there is a coaching zone, and the coach might shout something at them.
So that's the first indication they have to move on.
And they'll hear the arena speaker as well a little bit, but they'll be concentrating on their map. They won't be so concerned with it. They'll concentrate on their own thing.
We're Elise Egzeth. Now she ran the first leg, picked up a silver medal yesterday for Norway in the sprint relay. And Catherine has some more information about how the ebb and flow is developing.
Yeah, Rahel Friedrich has just gone through the 2nd radio control in 1st place, 3 seconds ahead of Caroline Olsen. So, as Clive said earlier, she seems to be picking up momentum as she's going further into the race. Hugh Dan.
Rahel Friedrich then beginning to show. And there's more of the tracking of how the splits.
Yes, and this is interesting, showing how the course has control 2 to 3. Olsen went the southern route. Hanny Olsten from Australia has gone the northern route there. and it was much the same. And Hanne Olsen is the sprint champion from 2006 in Denmark, who is a very well-known Australian and very, very popular. And she's doing well here.
The Polish runner, Catherine, can confirm for us, has moved into third place.
Yep, Ivona Vika has just gone into second place, 30 seconds behind Caroline Olsen in a time of 15:24. That is pushing Alice Leek of Great Britain down into third place.
Number 21 is Gyurko of Hungary, finishing well too.
And she's gone into a new third place just ahead of Alice Leek, so 35 seconds down she is on Caroline Olsen's time. But it was a good finish from Vika of Poland there. She picked up quite a bit in the last part of the course. 30 seconds down on the lead time is pretty good.
But still the marker from Caroline Olsen is the one to beat.
Yes, but we're watching Rahel Friedrich, who's got into her flow pretty quickly there. But now a new first time, in fact, set by Nadia Volunska at the second radio point. She's gone ahead of Rahel Friedrich by 3 seconds. This is Nadia Volunska of Ukraine, who is a very fast runner and on her day could do very well here.
Denisa Kosova manoeuvring around the trees. Number 22 is Rudnaya, the Russian, now coming through into the arena. And again there you see the time well off the fastest finishing spot so far. Olsen still out front, Gyurko 35 seconds, 36 seconds adrift.
A very engaged crowd here. They're all watching all the finishers and giving them plenty of support and cheering. It's lovely to see.
Perfect conditions not only for running but also for spectating.
Here's some more tracking showing Caroline Olsen taking the southern route and Mironova, the Russian, taking the northern route. And there they're very much the same time, going through 3 and 4 here. And we'll be watching this very carefully because there are some times cropping up which are quite close to Caroline Olsen's now out on the course here.
And this is bound to happen as the faster runners join the fray. Knapova, Czechoslovakian.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
I've made that mistake so many times, you Dan.
Keeping myself up to date with
no, it won't
modern
cause too much
currency.
aggro out of the sticks, should we?
The Lithuanian, number 23, Gabija Razatya. And some bunching out in the course now as the faster runners make up some of the sections.
Yes, it's not too hard for some of them to catch up a minute on one or two of the less experienced competitors. And Jana Knapova from the Czech Republic, who we've just mentioned, is going pretty well there. We just saw her in the picture. And now starting Charlotte Ward, Charlotte Ward from Great Britain, the last of the three.
The last of the British runners, third in her heat in the qualifying on Friday in Heat 3. So she would be certainly in with an outside chance of making her mark if she can get away to a good start. She would need to get a good start, Clive, to start to make up these marks which are being set now in the early stages.
Oh yes, but she's a pretty fast runner and she deserves her qualification place, so I'm sure she's going to be as competitive as possible here. She'll be really going for it today.
Julia Gross of Switzerland.
We have to be careful here because of a slight discrepancy between our radio times and the TV times. And the TV times we're getting are the ones we need to work to. So
the Estonian, number 24, leading in, Eveli Kaasiku and Denisa Kosova coming in more or less together, just 5 meters between them.
Yes, Denisa Kosova finished there in 15:13, so it's a new second place there for the Czech girl. Good run for her towards the end there. She's just 19 seconds down on Caroline Olsen's time in the finish and got ahead of Ivona Vika of Poland. And Rahel Friedrich now on the picture, you, Dan?
Rahel Friedrich of Switzerland.
She's got the new first fastest time at third radio control, ahead of Caroline Olsen by 28 seconds. We thought Caroline Olsen's lead was big. This is ridiculously big.
Well, now we've got the countdown though to the next TV control. Who done?
Just looking at her, she is certainly running faster. Just to watch her. If you're talking flow, this is serious flow, this, because she is going well.
Yes, she certainly is, and she's looking around at her surroundings because she's planning out exactly where she's going to run after she's been to this control here. And here she comes to it and punches now, and her lead over Olsen there is 21.2 seconds.
And interestingly, taking that control point almost in the backward way to maintain the momentum rather than having to reach it and then turn round.
She'd looked round, she knew exactly where she was going to come from there, and here she's coming now into the spectator passage.
The Australian coming over the fence again, Hanny Alston. And the Swiss runner just passing us behind us, that's Rahel Friedrich, has just gone through the arena on the way out, and she's going well. There's certainly an increase in the pace, a noticeable increase in the pace of the running now out in the town. And when they come into the arena, it's very, very obvious that these are the fastest runners.
Hanny Alston's time running out, approaching the TV control here. Hanny Alston, the world champion at sprint from 2006 in Denmark, and a very well-known Australian, has gone through just 4.7 seconds down on Friedrich. She's going well, she's sprinting hard here, and very, very focused, I can see, coming down to the spectator area, as we've got Julia Gross of Switzerland coming into the finish. Hudan
finishing well too, and there's one of the runners there just in front of us.
This is a new leader near here.
This is a good finish, because look at the time running under 14:51.7. That's a new fastest time
by 2.3 seconds.
2.3 seconds for Julia Gross of Switzerland, has overtaken Caroline Olsen. Number 43 is Maya Alam. Now
just going up from the start.
This is somebody who could be looking at a magnificent opportunity. She ran the final leg for Denmark yesterday in the sprint relay and did so in some style. Number 39 is Charlotte Ward, who's going well out in the course.
Yes, she's being counted down to the first TV control here, so we'll see how her progress is there. She's not going to be the fastest by a long way, but she's doing pretty well. You can see her crossing the street there, going through the archway, and now plus time for Charlotte. But Nadilia Volunska is one we're keeping an eye on the radio times here. She's still going very well halfway through the course. Catherine.
Yeah, she's got the fastest time ahead of Rahel Friedrich with just the final couple of controls to go. But back to Charlotte Ward.
This is the British runner, the last of them.
And she was 20 seconds down going through the TV control there on the lead, so a pretty good start, I would say, there for Charlotte.
Number 30, here's Friedrich, Rahel Friedrich of Switzerland, finishing well, coming up to the line. And we'll see what she's made up. Yep, she has got a good time. Friedrich coming in. We can see there how her time has taken her into first place, 14:30.6.
21 seconds faster than Julia Gross, so this is a new fastest time by street, and Caroline Olsen's time we thought was good. We're now down to 14:30.
The final runner, Minna Kauppi, is about to set off. A 2-minute gap she has to make up on Maya Alam, because Tove Alexandersson, you may recall, has withdrawn, the 44th runner. So this is our final runner underway. This, on the other hand, is Hanny Alston from Australia coming in.
And this also could be a new fastest time. She has really gone hard on this last little loop in the park, and she's approaching the finish. Is she going to make it?
This is threatening Friedrich's time.
And it has achieved it too, I think. She's the new leader, Hanny Alston, yes, by 2 seconds.
2 seconds, 2.5 seconds or thereabouts. Hanny Alston in the lead. Rahel Friedrich from Switzerland in second place. Julia Gross from Switzerland in third. Olsen in fourth place.
wonderful for Hanny Alston there, who got the world champion 9 years ago now, and she is well into her 30s, is doing extremely well. But we're looking for Nadia Volunska, whose time is ticking away. She's got to be in the finish within the next half minute exactly if she's going to be the new leader.
Here's Volunska coming round the corner, and she could be in with a very good shout here because she has the line. Line is in sight, and she has made it through the line at 14:13. She has taken the lead.
Yep.
She has taken the lead.
So we have an update from some of the early controls, and Maya Alm has gone through in first place at the first radio control with a time of 2 minutes and 46 seconds, just under 5 seconds ahead of Rachel Effney, who held the lead at the first radio control all the way through the race, pretty much from the beginning. Another runner that we must look out for later into the race, this is Maya Alm coming through now, but another runner we must look for is Sarah Leuscher, who's gone through in second place at the second radio control, just behind Nadia Volinska, who is the current leader.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. And Maya Alm, we're counting down to the first of the TV controls. You can see her here coming out any moment now onto the high street. There she is, crossing over the road, going through the arch opposite and down towards it. And is she going to maintain a new fastest time? It's looking very much as though it is to me.
Well, yesterday's performance was outstanding, and she is standing on the brink of something great here today, because she has an opportunity not of her own making, it has to be said, but Minna Kaupo is out there ahead, behind her.
You saw Maya Alm there checking her map before she got to the control, being sure she knew exactly where she was going to go afterwards, and she's also got a good flow there, you could see that. It's
exactly how she ran yesterday. She's picked up exactly where she left off. This is Sarah Loescher of Switzerland, who is third in Heat 1 in the qualifying. So she too will be looking for a fast time, using her map, her running skills.
Yes, her time's running out though. She's slower now than Volunska, who is the fastest at this next point. So Volunska, the current leader in the finish now, 14:13.6, 14 seconds quicker of Hanny Alston, with Rahel Friedrich in third place at this moment.
Svetlana Mironova of Russia has completed the course, as the runners come in now at a fairly regular.
We've got Minna Kaupi, Maya Alm and Sarah Leuscher here, the tracking coming through to number 2, and then how have they gone from there? Alm's taken the southern route, Kaupi a slight variation of it, Leuscher the northern route to number 3. Fascinating little section of the course, this one.
All these unknown battles in many respects, because they don't know what the other one is doing.
But we can see Maya Alm and Leuscher ahead of Kaupi. Here's Minna Kaupi now.
This is the final runner on the course. Perhaps not running quite as freely as the others, but
she looks pretty determined though to me, and she's
focused.
Very focused, very focused. And we can see the time ticking down though. She's not as fast as Alm here, I'm absolutely sure. She hasn't yet reached the high street. This is going to be this picture we saw earlier of them crossing through. Here she comes, and she's only 5 seconds to go, and she's going a different way. She's going down the street to the corner instead.
Well, I think she's the first to have taken that particular route, certainly that we've seen anyway.
Exactly.
I should say that the rest of them have
gone through the alleyway. She's going round to the left of the line and round the back ways. That's faster or slower? It's not the one we've seen anyone else go.
We'll soon find out.
Well, we have, because she's 16, 17 seconds down on Maya Alm having done that, and that could be a decisive moment as far as Minna Kaupi is concerned. That
could be the turning point for her, or the wrong turning point, if I can put it that way, because that may very well have cost her. Here's the standing as we reach control 6. Alm, Wolinska, Loescher, Friedrich, Olsen, Kaupi, Effney, Robertson and Elise Egseth, and then Mironova, the top 10. And we have to go down to 15th and 16th and 17th at the moment for Alice Leake, Ruth Holmes. The 3 British runners coming in there together in terms of the time.
And there you've got Charlotte Ward coming through the Flower Gardens and picking up the point here. And she's already well down on the leading times, so she's doing well, but we're not going to have great results for Great Britain in the women's race today, at least.
Elise Egseth, who ran the first leg for the Norwegians in the relay, has crossed the line.
and 13th place for her today, 1:20 down on the leading time of Nadia Wolinska.
Laura Robertson of New Zealand has just crossed the line. It's still Wolinska's time.
Charlotte Ward in the picture still, coming through to the spectator passage now, so she'll get a good cheer from the Brits as she comes round the back of this tree here.
They've picked her up on the screen as she comes round the trees. And they've got her now on the screen, they can see this.
And big cheers from the Brits, of course. And meanwhile, coming into the finish here is Sarah Lucia, and she's not going to be the winner today. She's 14 seconds down on the present leading time of Nadia Wolinska from Ukraine. So it's going to be, I think, between Nadia Wolinska and Maya Alm this race.
That's the way it's panning out at this stage, because Wolinska's time is looking fairly solid, and only Maya Alm can really threaten it, because that particular choice that Mina Kauppi took may very well have been very expensive. Here's Kleisner coming over the fence.
Yes, Cecilia Freeberg-Klusner, the last of the Danish runners before Maya Alm, who also had a good race yesterday, in fact, but is a bit down on the pace today, I would say.
And at control 14, we have Wolinska's time, and then Friedrich 13 seconds off that. Loescher, the two Swiss runners in second and third at that point. Olsen, Gross, these runners have all finished.
And Galina Vinogradova, who had the bronze medalist position yesterday in the relay, just finished here, and it's not been her day today, that's clear. She's made a mistake somewhere out on the course, because it's not been a good time for her there.
And again, going round behind the tree so that the control can be accessed, and then progress made without any hint of stopping at all. It's the perfect way to deal with that particular choice.
And the ladies straight to control still has Maya Alm the fastest through, ahead of Nadia Wolinska by 22 seconds, so it's still very much looking Maya Alm's race, as we've expected, the odds-on favourite for the race today, in the absence of both Tove Alexanderson and Judith Wieder. And here you can see the tracking.
That GPS tracking is showing exactly what she's doing, because she's maintaining, if anything, I would say, if these are exactly accurate, increasing the pace.
And here we've got her in picture.
We see her now out on the course in full flow, striding through the parkland. Another runner in front of her there, that's always a target, it's always better. Interestingly, she takes the in and out route rather than round the back, and onto the map straight away.
And 25 seconds ahead of the fastest at that point, so this must be Maya Alm's race. She's coming down with the girl who is 1 minute ahead of her in the start and through into the spectator package.
Well, she's overtaken Silje Ekrol Jaren from Norway, who was second in her heat. And this is Alme passing behind us here.
And the TV camera runner behind her showing how she's going. And it's tremendous applause and support from the many Danish supporters here for Maya Alm. Very popular runner, very successful runner. And all she now has is this last 5 controls in the northeastern part of the park. And she must be the winner today, I'm sure.
Charlotte Ward of Great Britain has finished.
And in 13th place at this moment, so not bad at all there for Charlotte. I think she'll be pretty happy with that, you know.
Charlotte Ward has made it across the line, and a magnificent sense of the pace of the magnificent Maya Alm as she went through the arena there, with our cameraman trailing, it has to be said. All credit to him for getting that close.
He's well trained, he done. He's been training for the last 3 months for this.
A magnificent performance even today, but certainly over the 2 days from Maya Alm. It's hers to take at the moment, because Wolinska's time is under threat, clearly.
We can see Mina Kauppi, though, faster than Sarah Lucia here out on the course. Sarah Lucia, the 3rd place, so Mina Kauppi still in a possible medal position.
And that's her now, the final runner. She'll be the last home, having had a minute further to make up on Maya Alm because of Tove Alexanderson's withdrawal.
I should have said Galina Vinogradova. I hadn't seen her in the results list. In fact, she's in current second place. She was very, very slow coming up on the results, and we missed her also in the radio times, unfortunately. But the current first, second and third are Volunska of Ukraine, Vinogradova of Russia and Lucia of Switzerland. With here Minna Kauppi coming across towards the second TV point, but quite a bit down on the rest. But who done? It's all happening now here.
Yeah, the arena has got another lift because there's another runner. Here she comes away to our left. We'll pick her up at the corner. This is Kauppi coming through the final. Number 41, Cecile Kleisner of Denmark. And 43 is Maja Alm, striding for the line. Here she comes to our left. She will cross the line. They've picked her up. This is the view they have of her coming through. She knows
she's the champion today. She's got a gold medal again for Denmark. Maja Alm in first place by 39.9 seconds, and nobody is going to catch that time. She was so fast on the last loop.
Absolutely flying. Silje Ekrol Jaren of Norway has crossed the line behind her.
And she's getting the congratulations here of her teammate Cecilia Friberg-Klusner, who also finished in current 13th place, and a brilliant run there. But we're watching Minna Kauppi, who is going across the field here. And still with a chance of a medal, I think.
Just passing the cricket square behind us here. Here's the current standings at control 14. Maja Alm 10:39.2, Volunska 26.1 seconds adrift, Kauppi currently 35.5. Can she make that up, Clive?
Well, it's going to be very hard work. She certainly won't make up a gold medal position, that's for sure. But I wouldn't put it past her to make up Volunska's. There's not an awful lot in it. It's going to be a very, very tight finish, I think, here for Minna Kauppi, with the possibility of a medal. Current positions, Alm the gold for sure. Volunska maybe still the silver. Galina Vinogradova currently the bronze medal position.
And that was Vinogradova finishing there. So Alm, Volunska, Vinogradova, Loescher, Hanny Alston, these are all the ones, but there is really only one person we're looking for now to see what she can make of it, and that's Minna Kauppi.
But Maja Alm is celebrating here and at the front of the crowd and enjoying all the photographs and smiling, knowing very well that she is the champion, sprint champion, world sprint champion for 2015.
I'm just waiting.
Gold medal yesterday, gold medal today. What more can you want?
I'm just waiting for the spray of the champagne when it takes off, because that's what happened yesterday.
Here we've got the tracking showing that Minna Kauppi at control 19 was only a fraction ahead of Sara Lucia of Switzerland. This is going to be a very, very tight run for Minna Kauppi.
Here's Kauppi.
Can she get just into bronze medal position ahead of Vinogradova? We'll see. Well, Vinogradova wasn't picked up on the tracking, I think, but Kauppi is coming as hard as she can up the hill.
Over the hill.
Control.
Here she comes. She's in our sight now. We can see her way behind me to our left, and striding down the hill.
She's clocked third place at that last control, so it looks like she's going to pip Galina Vinogradova at third place. Let's watch the time.
Here she comes round the final bend. She's heading for the final bend. The crowd have picked her up. Keep an eye on her time, and we'll see as she comes round right in front of us. We'll pick her up in just seconds as she comes round. Here she is, heading for the line. Has she got enough to make it? Striding out for the line.
Oh, she's done her very, very best there, but it's going to be, in fact, here, 6th place for Minna Kauppi. She just didn't have the legs at the end. Maja Alm, the gold medal. Nadia Volunska of Ukraine, the silver. And Galina Vinogradova of Russia, the bronze, just as she got yesterday as well. So here we've got the final results, but coming into the finish here,
Maja Alm just parading in front of the crowd, lapping up all that applause that is duly deserved by her nearly 40-second win.
Maja Alm just having a celebratory run up, running in back.
I said this yesterday, Clive. She looks like somebody who could go back out the course and do it again.
Yes, and she does again today, doesn't she?
Absolutely phenomenal performance.
Brilliant.
Not just on today, as I said earlier, but over the 2 days she has done her country, done her sport proud, because she has taken advantage. You can only run against what is presented to you. terms of the terrain and the opposition, and she has, quite frankly, Clive, demolished both.
She has indeed, absolutely. She ran round that terrain as though she knew the town by heart, and in a way she did, because the Danes are extremely strong in their preparations, and they will have made a map of the town from internet information, and they'll have planned all the possible courses that might have been set on the area and thought about different route choices and masses of different things. So she will know this town well before she ever came here.
She's clearly a magnificent athlete, Clive, but she's also a superb technician from what I can see.
Yes, that's absolutely
the
right.
way she works her maps, the way she approaches the control points,
yes,
the way she uses the route to its absolute best.
Yes, everything under control, and she'll have planned 3 or 4 controls ahead all the way round. She knew exactly where she was going to go, what route she was going to take, a bit before she actually got there, all the way. A faultless run as far as I could see.
Absolutely flawless, it has to be said. Valinska and Vinogradova, these were 2 good runners, and you know, Kauppi had it up to a point, and then there was that big decision where really that could have cost her, where she went to the left instead of going straight across.
That was where she lost a good 10-13 seconds, I would think. Maybe made all the difference between as you can see, she's only 3 seconds down on Galina Vinogradova's time. We've got all the final positions coming up on screen here, and it was that little bit where she went round to the left instead of through the alleyway that was the decisive moment for her.
And Charlotte Ward there at 19th place, 1 minute 55 down. She'll be relatively pleased. That's not a bad performance at all.
No, that's
right. A race
right.
like this,
exactly.
This kind of quality.
Certainly, and Alice Leake will be pretty happy too, I would say. Catherine?
I think, considering Charlotte Ward's position, qualifying position place, I think she qualified in 3rd place in her sheet. She might be slightly disappointed with that, but it's very different terrain, and all 3 of the girls have really raced well today, I think.
And the pressure is harder in the final, not only for her herself, but also the other top runners are so much more focused on trying to get a medal position rather than just qualifying in a good place.
Exactly, they take it at 100%, whereas in the qualifier they may have notched it down a few runs just to make sure that they conserve their energy, whereas the British girls will have probably run at their hardest just in order to qualify. So, I mean, they're really up against some of the best runners, and I think maybe arguably they've got more pressure on them because it's a home crowd, everyone's expecting them, they've got a lot of, even though they've got a lot of support, they have got a lot of pressure as well on them to perform for the country.
That's right. And while we've been talking, you could see on screen the routes taken by the 3 of the leaders. We haven't got Volunska's there, but we've got Lucia, Alm and Vinogradova. Alm, of course, well ahead of everybody else all the way round, but some interesting differences in route taken in the town here. It's certainly been a challenging course for route choice, as we predicted it would be, and said it would be. A very good venue, I would say, for the race. Here we've got pictures of Maya Alm out on the course, just starting there, and then coming through the spectator point here with the running cameraman behind her.
Well, I have to say, when out in the course there, you know, for an opponent, Clive, it must be a nightmare seeing her sailing past you like that. She just looks at ease.
Yes.
And you must think when she's past you, she's gone.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I mentioned her technique, but stylistically, she's a beautiful runner.
She is, isn't she? Yes, she really is.
Economy, it's all there.
That's
it's exactly what you need, and the terrain suits her, obviously.
Yes. And she's a superb team member in the Danish team, who are now, of course, absolutely on the top of the world, having won the gold medal in the sprint relay yesterday and now got a gold medal here.
I have to say, I thought their togetherness yesterday as a team was outstanding, and I think it's reflected here. Although this is an outstanding individual performance, clearly she has the support of her whole team members.
Yes. The preparation of the Danish team is outstanding. And their friendship is also outstanding, and they've got an outstanding coach. And several of them go to university in the same town and therefore train together and plan together, and so this togetherness element is very, very strong. And the Danish team have been in ascendancy for several years now. They've had very good times in the past and then a low period, but the present group are as good as Denmark has ever had.
Well, that, of course, is just the conclusion of the first race in today's offering, because we are heading for the men's sprint final.
Yes, with the
order.
First runner off in about 2 minutes' time. So
And just a reminder of the conditions, it's 16 degrees was the forecast, or the suggestion. It's just feeling slightly chillier than that, I have to say. The humidity is good because there's no rain so far. These are the wonderful scenes around Forres, the former Royal Borough of Forres, and the varied terrain that the runners, the men, will be following through the historic buildings of the former Royal Borough, crossing the road, the old road to Aberdeen. The first control there, the distance 1.1 kilometres, then heading west out towards the river, back across the road, and then turning back towards the parkland area. Eventually, we're at the start in Grant Park. They cross the road, interesting choices to be made there, and then back across again, zigzagging, where they head back out to the east of the town.
One of the controls in the maze there.
It's 2.6 kilometres by that point into the parkland, where they take a sweep further east to the very far extremity of the course, and then begin the long haul home, or the short route home, depending on where you are in the standings, through the arena into the finish. And still we have the preparations underway now, and this is the visual impact, or the visual aspect, and huge challenges here, Clive, in terms of the choices the men will have to make.
Yes, just as in the women's course, there are some fascinating route possibilities and alternatives, and a lot of dead ends and little alleyways. As you can see here, this is exactly the kind of terrain they're going to be running through. We've seen this in the women's course, where they've come out onto the main street and then across it, and this is the statue which is on the map halfway along the main street, which they cross, and then through this little passage and onto the first of the TV controls. We'll see this in an overhead shot later on.
I was just going to say, they won't have to negotiate the traffic, of course, because the roads are closed for the purposes of the race. But as we were examining the routes, there was some traffic in the area. So safety of the runners and the spectators paramount, of course. And
here you can see a leg where there are 3 different possible route choices as the planner sees it, and one of them slightly shorter than the rest, but is one the runners will actually see. And then again here from control 7, a number of different possibilities through this area of parkland down by the river before control 8. Slightly different lengths in each of the courses.
And slightly different terrain in the wider sense, just because of the lack of the beach running. And this is the start list. As we go through, I'm pretty sure we haven't been informed of any withdrawals. We had 2 withdrawals in the women's event earlier, but pick out a few names for us, Clive.
Yes, there's one there, the 17th starter, Frédéric Tranchon from France, is a person we're going to be watching out for early on. And Gleb Tikhonov also, who is in the bronze medal Russian team in the sprint relay yesterday, and Scott Fraser, who is the silver medalist from 2 years ago from Great Britain, to a Lassen from Denmark there, the 33rd starter, with Murray Strain, who is also fancied from the British team just after him, and Søren Bobak, last year's champion, and then Daniel Hubman right behind him. That's a little bunch who are really going to make waves in the town as they go through.
And then the final sequence there, where we have Yannick Michaels and Christian Jones and Martin Bostrom. This is anybody's race.
Yes, it's much more open than the women's race, that's absolutely right. I've talked to a number of different people, and they've all come up with different favourites who they think are going to win. Yannick Michaels of Belgium is a favourite. Chris Jones obviously has his supporters from the British side. If he had a perfect run, it's not beyond him completely to make it right to the top. And then we've got people like Søren Bobak again, although he's clearly not on top form this year. Daniel Hubman is capable of a gold medal in almost any competition he runs in. And then we've got Martin Hubman and Jaka Lusel, and Morten Bostrom of Finland particularly seems on very good form here, and he is the sprint champion from 2 years ago in the World Champions.
The men are underway, and this is Kenny Kivikas of Estonia, who's the 5th runner. So they have got themselves underway. Norwegians, the Austrians, Belgians, Latvians, now the Estonians.
See Fan Club Hoodman in the picture here, and the two brothers Daniel and Martin both in the field today with 2 minutes between them in terms of their start time.
And these are the magnificent scenes round the finish line particularly. And out on the course we have Helmut Gremmel of Austria. And these scenes will now be quite familiar to you perhaps, having watched the women's race. And somebody there, number 4, Andres Jubilis, turning back. There's an example of somebody making a choice. He had to redirect himself very quickly there.
Yes, he was pretty uncertain of himself there, wasn't he, Hugh Dunn? Oh, and they're taking the left-hand route here.
We haven't seen that before. Now that's the choice that cost the runner in the women's race at that particular point. And you know,
yes.
These are the fine margins.
Yes, he's taken the left-hand route round where nearly everybody else has gone through the alleyways, crossing the main street. But that Latvian there, Andris Jubilis, seemed in quite a muddle one way and another. You done?
Well, that could very well cost him
dearly.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see it here.
Yeah, we'll just see how he did that, because he had to redirect himself, having gone one way.
He's going down that one. Oh, yes. Oh, see, yes, he's going to number 3
Actually
there.
worked out a different route.
Yes, he went the northern way and Vestergaard went the southern way. Yep.
That explains what happened. It's much easier to see it in that representation. There's another cut through the wall and up the alleyways.
Now, will he go the left-hand way or through the alley? He's gone the left-hand way.
He's gone left, yeah. Well, interesting indeed how they're taking that choice collectively.
Sort of.
most interesting just when they have to change it rather than when it's obviously successful.
Yeah. Well, it's not a bad route choice actually when you look at it carefully on the map. If you do it really correctly and firmly, there's not a huge difference between them, even though it lost Minakauppi a bit of time.
Back at the start, the minute gap, Giacomo Zagonel, Italian, number 8. He's the 8th starter as we run through them. 45 runners, of course. 43 started in the women's event. We have our defending champion coming away at number 35, Soren Bobach. We'll come back to him later because I was interested in the way he ran in the relay yesterday to see if he can improve in his form, because I just had a suspicion he wasn't operating at full pace and full power.
So Hendricks, who we saw earlier on the screen, going into first place at control number 6, our second radio control, 0.2 seconds ahead of Helmut Gremmel. But we've just had news that Kenny Kivikas from Estonia has gone into first place at control number 4, our first radio control, which is but only 0.4 seconds ahead of Thomas Hendricks. It's very, very close at the top, but obviously very early stages so far.
So Kenny Kivikas of Estonia was the 5th starter, and well underway now. We're probably around about 10 runners on the course.
Here we've got countdown to the first TV control 6 on the course, 1.1 kilometres in, and here we can see this overhead shot of runners, and he's got 10 seconds to go to the point if he's going to be the new leader here, Kenny Kivikas, and he's coming round to the control round the corner there, and it is for him just 0.5 of a second down on the fastest time of Thomas Hendricks of Belgium. So very, very tight times to that point. Camera's moved a position here. Not quite the same view we had before.
But at that stage, they're about a quarter of the way into the course. The total distance is 4.1 kilometres, 3.8 for the women. This is Robert Merle.
He was a very good junior from Austria, and he's capable of a very good run. You can see, in fact, he was 7th in the sprint in 2011. In the juniors, in fact.
He has some form. He has his hand on the map. And he's off and running. So that's the 10th runner underway. We have just under a quarter of the runners on the course. It's It's not exactly warm, but then it's not exactly cold. So, as we say in Scotland, it keeps the midges away.
Yes, it's kept them away so far. At least I haven't had to get the midge cream out yet.
These young ladies are enjoying themselves. They're here from all over the world. One of the great features of this weekend for me has been just the vast range of countries here this weekend.
Yes, there are 50 countries actually involved in the World Championships, and most of them, very many of them, have got a band of supporters who are also taking part in the public races. There are 6 days of public races, many of which are on the World Championships terrain, and a superb experience for all the watchers here who can then go out and follow in the World Champions' footsteps, as it were, in the forest.
All ages are here, all manner of colours and representations, flags, buzz about the town, the whole of Inverness, Nairn particularly, the big areas, campsites full of people.
The Scandinavians and the Swiss particularly always come with very, very big support, and if you look at the crowd when someone from Switzerland is coming in, you'll see masses of Swiss flags flying.
I think they're winning the flag flying contest at the moment.
Oh, they're not. Great Britain is.
A bunch of Union flags poised in front of us there.
Yes.
There's Vestergaard. The choices being made there, heading out towards the river and then down, turning back in towards the arena, which is in the middle of the map, approximately there, around the flower beds of forests.
Yes, Håkon Jarvis Vestergaard of Norway is the very first starter on the course today, and he now has gone through the second TV point there in just over 11 minutes.
Just slightly disoriented, I would think there. He's just lost track, I think. He couldn't quite find the point, but he's got it now.
Oh, there we are, yes. It's
round
going
the tree.
11:22, yes.
And just in case anyone's wondering about my reference to the former Royal Borough of Forres, well, it lost its status under some local government reorganisation some years ago, but
dreadful.
Most people still think it's a royal borough if you're from Forres.
Yes.
It's a very important and very elevated status.
And a very elegant town, actually, and it has these lovely flower baskets everywhere. It's magnificent for flowers, absolutely magnificent.
Beautifully turned out for the occasion. You see them there, the hanging baskets over the venels and the alleyways of the older parts of the town. Slightly more historic over the piece than yesterday's Nairn, which was more of a mixture of modern terrain, modern housing.
One of the Danes in the field here, no doubt, well, he won't know about Maya Alm's victory, of course, because he's been in quarantine all the time. But they've got a good team all round, and we'll see how he gets on today.
I think you'll feel it. Catherine, you have an update?
Yes, we were just looking at the track of Robert Merle, who's just taken the new fastest time at the first radio control number 4, only with a time of 1/10 of a second ahead of now Jakob Esten Eckhard.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Now, these are early days, Clive, but the margins to me seem to be significantly tighter than it was in the women's race.
Yes,
we tended to have bigger gaps.
Yes, I think you're quite right. The margins are tighter, and it's also because some of the faster runners didn't qualify so well as happened in the women's race. So we've got some quite good runners who are going to post fast times right from the outset today.
So the race has a slightly different character from the earlier event. He's striding well, the 10th runner, Robert Merle, the Austrian. And just a slight chill descending. I don't suppose it'll do the runners any harm because they are not feeling it as much, but a slight breeze coming up in our faces, threatening to blow all our information away. But we'll nail it down quickly. And the crowd picking up number 3.
And Robert Merle lost his 10th of a second advantage, dropping to second place at control number 6. This time 6 seconds behind Jakob Esten Eckhard.
And this is Vestergaard from Norway coming round to the finish, the first runner home. Just over 14 minutes, finishing in good style.
Yes,
He's
this is a good finish for
going to
Håkon.
set the first mark at 14:11.1.
Yeah, and it's a good marking point too. 14:11.9. At this point in point one, sorry. At this point in the event, the very first starter is good, and he's done well in the last part of the course here. Hugh Dunn.
Well, he set his mark. He set his stall out for the rest, although they won't be that familiar with the fine detail. This is Kivikas taking on some of the local population there. Some of the moving objects he had to negotiate. Somebody out minding their own business finds an Estonian charging at them in the nicest possible way. Here he comes.
Yes, and
quite a fluid runner, Clive.
he is. Yes, he's going
Long
nicely
stride.
here, the Estonian. Yes, but it's interesting to see here that a lot of locals have come out and sit out in the park to watch the race here. They're not orienteers, all those people. Most of those are going to be in the arena here. So it's good to see that the forest folk have come out to watch the race.
Round the tree he goes, taking the backwards,
Yes, and
outwards route.
it's almost the fastest time, just second fastest by 0.9 of a second there for Kivikas.
He's now heading into the arena. Round the large tree. Long stride up the hill, because we should pick him up soon.
Yes, this is just coming into the finish, Thomas Hendricks of Belgium, who has had again a good run here, and it's time ticking down. This is going to be a new lead over Håkon Jarvis Vestergaard here for Thomas Hendricks, I'm sure.
This is Hendricks stretching his legs to the line, because he can feel it, he can see it, he can hear the crowd. They're lifting him past the line. Here he comes.
Yes, he enjoyed that, didn't he?
Arm in the air. 4.1 kilometres, 14.8 flat. And
So
behind us, Kivikas has shot out to begin his approach to the arena. He looked to be going well as he passed behind us there.
So
Well, it's not really that difficult, is it?
Thomas Hendricks with a good smile there,
Yeah,
and a
that's-
thumbs up at the end.
that is
Happy
the
to be
way-
the new leader for a
That's
few
the way.
moments.
That's the way you take offence.
Yes.
Without breaking your stride. Perfect running, hurdling. Number 6, Riccardo Scali, Italian, going well.
Yes, he's a bit down on the pace though there, I would say, unexpectedly, because also he's produced some good results in his time.
Running through the park. And off he goes. So control 16 is at 3 meters, 3 kilometers, just under 3 kilometers, 4.1 the total length. And he's running well. Catherine?
Yeah, we've just got a new update from our first radio control number 4, and Gaute Hallen Stiver from Norway has gone into first place, 5 seconds ahead of Robert Merl, the Austrian, who has yet to go through the spectator control in the arena.
Well, 5 seconds is nothing really. In a race like this, 5 seconds can be gobbled up very quickly. And there's number 4, Andris Jubilis, the Latvian, has come through. And he's gone into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place.
Fourth place at
Fourth
this
place.
stage. Kerry Kivikas at the
place.
top's got his time counting down for us here. And Gaute Hallen Stiver from Norway, who we just mentioned, is just approaching now the first TV control. And he's going to be a new leader there with a time 5.1 seconds quicker than the Dane Eckhard, who went through not long ago. So Hallen Stiver of Norway setting his stall out for his race today now.
It's all beginning to wind up. Here the choice is Merrill and Eckhard tracking each other.
Merle just that little bit faster.
Yep. He's maintaining the pace, looking at it on the GPS.
And in
8.
fact, here we are with
That's them, Edson and Merrill.
Eckhard. Yep.
Eckhard is number 9, Merrill is number 10. Bear in mind there was a minute between them at one stage, well at the start, so that's been eaten up. So Eckhard of Denmark, the Danes having a good weekend. And remember the defending champion still to come, Bobach, second in his qualifying heat, gold medal in his bag already from yesterday in the sprint relay. but out on the course. Eckhard maintains his pace, trying to reel in Robert Merle, and he's going to do it, I think. He seems confident. The hurdling goes on. Round the flower beds.
Robert Merle going very well here. In fact, the Austrian, as I say, he's a very strong junior, and he's done pretty well in the last World Championships too. And he is coming through the park here now to the second TV control, just before the arena passage, and he's still got 20 seconds to go to get there and still remain in the lead. So this is a very, very good run from Robert Merle here. He's going faster than Eckhard, and he's approaching the spectator passage here now.
He's stretched his form. Number 6, Riccardo Scalè, the Italian, has completed the course. 15.4 seconds, 4.3 seconds, 15 minutes, 4.3 for Scalè. And behind us, number 10, Merle, has strode away to our left, and crossing the line is Arturs Paulins, the Latvian, has completed the course.
Yep, 4th place for him at this moment, 21 seconds down on Thomas Hendricks' leading time.
Back at the start, we're halfway. We have Lucas Basset of France. Lucas Basset, number 22 of 45. Half the runners will be on the course at this point. And off he goes. We'll have a British runner coming at number 25, Scott Fraser, second in the 2013 sprint. So he'll be coming on after Gleb taken off of Russia, and one of the Polish runners.
Frederic Tranchon from France, who we mentioned as a possible high placer earlier on, has had a very slow start. He was 17th to the first control, 15th to the second radio control. So not a good start for the Frenchman today.
Just a different direction to that control point there. Here's a contest 9 and 8.
Which is Eckhard having come ahead here of Zaganel of Italy, but ahead of him Robert Merle in the finish now.
The crowd just picking up the contest here because they can see the race. This is a real race round the finishing line, and Eckhard has made the advantage over Zaganel of Italy. Eckhard finishes totally spent. He's given it everything.
Certainly has.
And he looks, to me, it looks as if he's gone into the lead. Here's Merle, Robert Merle coming up pace now. Can he pick it up? Can he snatch the lead?
Well, he's made a mistake in the last part of the race in the northeast corner time, because he's lost quite a bit of time from what he was. He's still going to be a new leader, though, I think, just here.
Here he comes, Robert Merle of Austria, finishing well, strongly through the line.
And 24 seconds faster than Eckhard, but he was a minute up on him at one point, so he'd made a 30-second mistake, was it, somewhere near the end there?
Well, he seems to be
Something
pleased.
happened anyway.
Something happened because he's lost it. He lost at least 30 seconds in that sequence, probably the last third or less. He seems pleased enough with it. It doesn't look as if he's thrown himself out, but well, that gives him the lead, Clive.
Yes, it does indeed.
Comfortable lead, but not anywhere near insurmountable at this stage, with half the runners, slightly under half the runners still to come.
Yeah, that's right.
Nicodim.
He'll be happy with what he's achieved there, Robert Merle. Young Austrian runner, he's done well there.
Sorry, Catherine has more information.
Yep.
Yes, Nicodim has got the 4th fastest time so far on control number 6, but actually dropped quite a lot into 10th place at control number 14, which we've just seen on the TV screens.
And he's in the picture there, going through 59 seconds down on the leading time.
Striding in towards the large tree, which is one of our significant features there. Picks up the control and off he goes. Meanwhile, at the start, we have Scott Fraser the British runner. Off he goes. At pace too, Clive.
Yes, he's going off really fast, and he's very, very determined. He is a Scot as well, and he's going to make his mark if he possibly can. Silver medalist from 2 years ago. He's one of the British great hopes today.
Just about overshot the first corner there, given the pace he took off.
That's right.
This is Gauta Hallen-Stiver, who took a new lead at control number 14. Let's see if he's maintained that through the next two controls as we chase him towards control number 16. He was currently about 6 seconds up on Robert Merle. Let's hope he can. He might even add to that at this control number 16. No, dropped a few tenths of a second, but still maintaining a good lead over Robert Merle. Hopefully he can maintain that through this spectator loop as he comes through the arena and then goes off to the east for a final 4 controls.
And the Bulgarian Kamenarov is the latest finisher. As they come through, they're coming in thick and fast now. The rain has begun to fall as well, which might complicate things, might make it slightly slippy out in the course. Just a slight drizzle. Number 12 coming in, Aleliunas, Lithuanian. He's not going to trouble the leaders with his time. They're Merle and Stiver making their choices going round. 16 is Simonin. Nicholas Simonin of Ireland.
Yes, it's good to have an Irish finisher. It doesn't finalist rather. It doesn't happen all that often, and they'll be really pleased to have someone in the final today from Ireland.
There's a significant Irish presence about the place yesterday in the parade as I saw them coming in.
Yep.
Always welcome in the Highlands, the Irish. So Merle has it at the moment.
Yes, but Gauta Hallen-Stiver of Norway is chasing hard, and now in the last part of the course, this is going to be a new leader for the Norwegian team, I think, before too long. But as you said,
that's your confirmation, Clive.
Yep.
Stiver has taken the lead at that point. Control 16 seems to have the fastest time. 24 there is Gleb Tikhonov. We need to keep our eye on Tikhonov because he too has the power and the pace to make an impression on this, because we're rapidly running through the runners now. Number 13 has come in.
That's Nikodim of the Czech Republic.
Now, he was threatening to do something early on, but appears to have drifted off the pace.
Yes, he's down into 10th place.
10th
finish
place.
There. 1 minute 5 seconds down, with Robert Merle still the leader over Jakob Edson Eckhard of Denmark and Thomas Hendricks of Belgium, currently in 3rd place. As the camera picks up Gleb Tikhonov here, just 10 seconds down on the fastest time of Hallen-Stiver there at the first TV point.
Yep, and this is Scott Fraser. We've just had an update from the first radio control number 4, that Scott Fraser has gone into 2nd place there.
First
equal place. That just shows you how tight it is at this race.
Well, you could tell from the way he blitzed from the start there. 1:15 is Stiver. Stiver finishing strongly. This is going to be an interesting time. Stiver 13:48.5.
Evidently made a mistake there in the last part of the course, because it ended up dropping behind Robert Merle.
Yep.
So that last bit, there's 4 controls very, very close together in a complex area with a few buildings and a bits of parkland. It must have really, really caught him out.
Yes, it certainly did. 5 seconds down there. Now Scott Fraser.
Scott Fraser going well. Loping around the course, as we would say in Scotland, with his long stride, regular rhythm. And here's the comparison between Kramov and Kral.
Yes,
and there's Scott Fraser's choices as well in the royal blue.
Now Scott Fraser through the 2nd radio control, the fastest of all by 0.6 of a second. So he's got just ahead there of Gauta Hallen-Stiver. So he's going well to start with Scott Fraser here.
Kramov making a split-second decision there to take one gap in the wall rather than another. So the control 6 times are showing Scott Fraser of Great Britain in the lead, And that, I think, was Kramov going through the alley.
Yes, it was indeed, and Andrei Kramov of Russia is an extremely experienced competitor, and one also who could well make his mark on the race today, but he's slower than Fraser.
Fraser still showing in front, and the crowd in the stadium have picked that up. Number 16 coming in is our Irish competitor, Simonin. So he's completed the course.
Yes, and Nicholas Simonin also in 7th place in the finish, so he's done well.
He's done
today.
well. That's a good
Out
finish
of
for the Irish.
Current 16 in the finish, he's in the top half of the finish list. So they'll be very happy with that, I think, the Irish today.
So Steiwer, 20 is Kral of the Czechoslovakians again, the Republic, coming around.
Yes, and he's just 2.7 seconds down off Stiver's time, so Kral is enjoying the race here, and you could see him reading his map as he came towards the control. He knows exactly where he's going to.
But Stiver, remember, made that mistake in the very last part of the control, so of the course, so he could really pick up some time and maybe challenge the lead right at the end. It's all to play for still.
One of the favourites, Jonas Leandersson of Sweden, going off there. He's the arena commentator's favourite for a win today, but then he is Swedish too, so that's probably not unexpected.
And you're telling me you're not backing Denmark?
Oh no,
Yeah.
oh no.
Okay, well,
Great Britain actually.
we have 15 runners left after Leandersson. 15 to take to the course, amongst whom, of course, is no less than Bobach, last year's gold medalist. We have Tue Lassen as well, who's already got a gold medal from yesterday at number 33.
Here the tracking is showing, interestingly, Scott Fraser just running a little bit faster than Kral on the early part of the course there, taking the same route as him though from 9 to 10. Just a little more hesitation, a little more care perhaps.
I don't think we've seen anyone cutting through the flower beds, but that's Nikolov of Bulgaria.
Yes, carefully avoiding going out of bounds, which the flags show as the corner of the flower beds themselves.
Well, I think he's the nearest to have gone that way, in our vision anyway.
Catherine?
Yep, we've had a new fastest time through at control number 6. Andrew Planes from Spain coming in to pip Scott Fraser for the lead by only 0.2 of a second. So it's so close at the top. The top 3 runners at control 6, all within a second of each other. It's so close, but going to see how it can pan out, whether he can chase that time and whether even Scott Fraser comes in the lead. It's between him and Carl at the moment.
Here's another one of the Danes finishing, Andreas Hogard Bosen.
Yes, it's not going to be absolutely top time for him today, but he's a young runner of the Danish team, and he's done okay, I reckon. There.
Just beaten to the line by Joza of Hungary, who's gone through.
But 4th place at this moment for Hogard Bosen, so not too bad at all. Wojtek Kral being
Here's Kral coming
talked
into the
finish now.
arena, and he's giving it everything. He's even checking his map as he comes in the finish. He must know he's nearly there because he's galloped round the corner.
Yeah, he's very close to taking a new leader here. Wojtek Kral, he's just going to make it, is he? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, Wojtek
Yes,
Karl.
new leader by just under 2 seconds.
He takes the lead, 1.8 seconds to the good. Kral has taken the lead.
Real surprise name, Andrew Blaine from Spain, the leader at the second radio point. I'm sure it won't maintain it, but it's put a really good heart for the Spanish there.
At the start, Murray Strain of Great Britain has taken off to applause in the arena. The Union flag in front of him. Union flags waiting for him, Swedish flags, they're all here.
And in Swiss flags and Danish
Swiss
flags you can see here too, yes.
All manner of colours.
Jonas Leandersson just gone through the second radio point, the new fastest time, 4:03, 1.6 seconds quicker than the Spaniard we just talked of. Jonas Leandersson of Sweden, we expected to be one of the fastest. He had an extremely good run in the sprint relay yesterday.
Number 23, here's Bobach, Soren Bobach at the start line. Gold medalist from yesterday. Now it'll be interesting to see what kind of form he shows in the early stages, because I felt he was underpowered yesterday. He just didn't seem to be throwing everything at it, perhaps saving himself for today.
He is, of course, the current sprint champion from last year in Italy. And
Current gold medalist is off and running.
rather different conditions from a rather sunny, hot day in Venice that we were running in last year.
You know, my initial feeling just watching him there, he's running quicker than he did yesterday.
Yes, I agree.
Running more fluidly.
Looked very focused too.
But this is Scott Fraser, who took the new fastest time at control number 14. Here we are following him over the next 2 controls to number 16, hoping he can take a medal for the British team or get as high as he can. Place everyone here in the arena is behind him, cheering him on as they can see him from the arena big screen.
That's Scott Fraser. Nikolov, the Bulgarian, has come home. Scott Fraser now galloping through the park.
We're following Scott Fraser's time as he comes towards the TV time here. He's got 5 seconds to reach it and be the fastest there, and he has done so. He's the new leader at the TV control there, and you can hear the response of the crowd as he comes down towards the spectator passage now. He's going to get a fantastic cheer as he comes through here behind us in a moment.
You'll hear him before you see him, because the crowd will pick him up. Here he comes, just passing behind us. Scott Fraser going through the arena, heading out towards the trees, where he'll look back again. Catherine?
You can, but we can look on the screen here how Blanes from Spain is actually ahead of him still, as we can see from the GPS footage.
Here's another good sprinter.
Daniel Hubman,
the first of the Hubmans.
Daniel Hubman starting 2 minutes ahead of his brother here. Daniel Hubman has won many gold medals in his time in World Championships at all distances, and he's certainly going to try and make it count again today.
Parfianowicz, the Pole, striding home. Good finishing from the Polish runner, Peter, going in.
But as you can see, we've still got Wojtek Kral, the leader in the finish, with a lead of 1.8 seconds over Robert Merle of Austria and Gaute Hallenstreiber of Norway in 3rd place.
But they
will be pushed well down though before we finish today, I'm quite sure.
Even the margins there are so tight that these 3 will definitely drop down, because we've established clearly that we have plenty of pace coming. And it'll be interesting just to pick up our friend Bobach and Hubman as they go round, and the Spaniard.
Tua Lassen coming up on the tracking here, and this Spaniard Blanes is doing well here.
He's maintaining his form.
He is indeed. Here's Murray Strain in the picture. You Dan?
Murray Strain in the early
coming
stages.
Towards the first TV control. You can see he's got 16 seconds to get there to be the fastest so far, and he'll come out of the archway and cross the street here, see which way he goes. He's going through the alleyway on the opposite side, as we saw most of the women do, and through to the control. He's not going to be the fastest though. He's a little bit down on Jonas Leanderson, the current fastest there. Not by many seconds. No. It's only 6-7 seconds down. Where are we punching now? He's punching now 8-9 seconds down. 10 seconds down.
10 seconds.
He can make that up. It's not much
Scott
to do.
Fraser is still showing well though, with high hopes for Britain, because the crowd are beginning to sense his arrival. That's number 24. That's ticking off the Russian.
Here we go. Here is Scott Fraser.
This is Scott Fraser of Great Britain coming to the line. Stretching for the line. He can feel it. He's done it. 13 minutes and 40.
But seemed to have lost a bit of time, even on the run-in. He was announced first place on the last control number 23, with 1 second lead over Kral, but then actually dropped some time.
He's lost that.
He was very tired at the end, and
he looked tired coming in, and that's left him in 2nd place, I fear, at the moment. Hubin, Lassen, Bobach. This is where we could be seeing the decision unfolding.
Yes, and you can see here on the screen Daniel Hubman just punching there and coming through to the first of our TV controls, control 6, and he was in the lead on the tracking we saw with head of Tua Lassen and Søren Bobach. So we're going to have a new leader at control 6, I'm fairly sure, coming up. There he goes now across the main road and through the alleyway on the other side. Hang on, he's not sure of himself. There we go.
Yeah.
No, now he is.
Yeah, he made it.
Now he is.
I think he might have been distracted by the people in front of him there. Might not. He's come back. Is that him coming back out? Didn't quite catch him.
Yep, he's made a mistake there. He's come round through the wrong alley. He's down here to the back. He's still going to be the fastest, but not by as much as he was before.
Yeah,
a small mistake there from Daniel Hubman, Catherine.
Yeah, he went into the alleyway, the one to the east of the one he should have gone on into, which actually was a dead end. He would have hit a wall if he had kept going that way, so had to lose quite a few seconds on that leg. That could cost him a medal.
That might well be decisive, yeah.
Might well be.
It could well.
Meanwhile, the gold medalist of 2008 and 9, Andrei Kramov of Russia, has finished. He's not going to feature in the medals.
10th place at this point.
10th at this stage. Here's Leandersson.
Yes, Jonas Leandersson, a new leader there over the Spaniard Blaines and coming down to the spectator passage here. So this is a very strong run from the Swedish star, an experienced runner now, and obviously going hard to take a new leader in a few minutes' time, Hugh Dunn.
And he can sense the crowd as he comes round the corner. The Swedish flags are up. They see him, they know he's here. They know he's within range as he comes round in front of the massed ranks. Number 27 has just finished. Tim Robertson, the New Zealander, he's crossed the line just in front of Leandersson.
But this Spaniard, Andrew Blaine, is going to be in the finish very, very
shortly.
Here he comes.
This
coming
is Blaine.
now.
This is Blaine.
New
This
leader.
is the Spaniard. Look at him. He's giving it everything. He knows he's giving it a great run.
Oh, what a good time.
That's a good time. That's a good time from the Spaniard.
Yes, I didn't expect that. I think that's going to be tremendous. He was certainly not somebody we were looking for. He's had the race of his life today, I think.
Blaine's, the Spaniard, looks to have taken the lead. He's had an outstanding run.
17.5 seconds ahead there of Wojtek Kral, and Scott Fraser then down into 3rd place with that time.
Catherine.
And we've had another split from control number 6, and Daniel Hubman has gone into 1st place, pipping Jonas Leandersson, who we saw on the screens just a few seconds ago. He's in the lead by 2 seconds, hoping he can maintain that to get a medal.
Now these standings you see on the screen, Blaine's, Kral, Scott Fraser. These are the current standings.
In the finish.
Yep. The finish, and we have a long way to go for some of them.
Yes, Martin Hubman, 2nd place at the first radio point, just 3 seconds down, less than 3 seconds down on his brother there, Daniel Hubman.
Indeed, we can see the fight between the Hubman brothers now almost neck and neck through all of the controls, taking the same routes pretty much to all of them.
It's almost identical.
Both of them, yes. Not there though.
They've broken there though. They took a separate decision there and rejoined.
And as we said, Daniel Hubman took the wrong alleyway, and he's lost a bit of time there. It'll be interesting to see if that's really decisive at the very last moment, Catherine.
Here's a race again, 129, 130. Kymäläinen, Finland, Leandersson, Sweden. And Leandersson's taking him on the corner, finishing really well here, coming in towards his own flags in the drizzly Sunday afternoon in Grant Park in Forest in the Highlands. Terrific reception for both of them as he increases his pace towards the line.
And a new leader there then, Jonas Leandersson, has gone into 1st place with a 9-second lead over the Spaniard Andrew Blaine. So a short period of triumph for the Spaniards.
Well, he's still acquitted himself very well, and there's still a lot of running to be done. The two Hubmans now, the Swiss brothers, Daniel and Martin, are going to be key players now in the outcome of this race.
Yes,
suspects.
The first radio point is Switzerland, because Andreas Kuberts has gone through in the 2nd fastest time, with Martin Hubman the 3rd, with Daniel Hubman the 1st, and he's quite clearly trying to make it a 3rd for Switzerland. Could it be Switzerland's day today?
Number 40 is
after their disappointment yesterday. Well, Andreas Kuberts just a little bit down in time, 4 seconds down on his brother there, on Daniel Hubman there.
This is Kuberts, the Swiss, running on the road. Keenly watched by the locals. Here's the contest unfolding between the Hubman brothers and Kuberts. As they run towards the river, they'll take a turn to the left and then head down to the river. The satellite showing very little between them.
And We've got all of our starters out on the course now. Chris Jones of Great Britain has started and is out 50 seconds out into the course, and Yannick Michiels, one of the favourites for today of Belgium.
This is our final runner.
Oh yeah.
Jerker Liesel of Sweden. He sets off. Busily running. Different style. Everyone with their own hallmarks.
These last runners out on the course are those who won the qualification heats on 2 days ago, and in fact it was a dead heat in one of the heats between Jerker Liesel and Martin Boström of Finland, who also we'll be watching very carefully for.
Coupa of France is our latest finisher, number 31. Bobach 1:35.
And that noise was from Murray Strain, powering through the run-in. Great support here from the arena.
Just gone through behind us, Catherine.
Yeah, but we have a new fastest time at the first split, which is Yannick Michiels from Belgium, going through in 2 minutes 21.4, 3 seconds up on Daniel Hoodman. So already taken a significant lead that's only going to hopefully grow and grow as the course progresses.
Yes, Bobach. Here's Soren Bobach, last year's gold medalist, heading for the line. Camera in tow.
Yes, going round the spectator passage, heading for the northeastern part of the forest, the last little bit here.
33 is Murray Strain of Great Britain, heading for the line.
To a Lassen.
Sorry, Lassen. 33 is Lassen. 34 is Murray Strain. Misreading my numbers there. This is Tue Lassen, who has a relay gold from Denmark yesterday.
But down today, a little bit down for him. But he's third place in the finish there. It's 21 seconds down on Jonas Leanderson, who's taken, he and the Spaniard Andrew Blaine is taken the highest, the fastest times by quite a bit. But a good run there for Tue Lassen, who's gone ahead of Wojtek Kral.
And we're just looking at the trail of Daniel Hoodman, who we've just had a new split for. He's gone into third place at control number 17. Who just running through the arena.
Hoodman just going past us there, number 36, striding out towards the trees.
He is behind Jonas Leanderson and Soren Bobach currently at this spectator run through.
Soren Bobach, you know, is actually having a really good run. You said to Dan earlier he started off very determinedly, and he came through in second place behind us in the spectator passage just now. So he's really looking to go for a medal again today, is Soren.
I just wondered if he was saving himself yesterday.
Well, you wonder.
It's beginning to... A long way to go yet, though.
At least he got well warmed up yesterday for today's run.
Gildes, number 37 of Lithuania. And here's 34. This is Murray Strain of Great Britain crossing the line. Huge reception for Strain.
Goes into 8th place, 36 seconds down on the leading time of Jonas Leanderson.
It's a good run from Strain.
And here coming into picture we've got Martin Hoodman, the younger brother of the two Hoodmans, and into the flower bed area here. And you can see him coming down to the he's down a little bit on time here to go to the second.
Coming around the line, here's
Soren Bobach.
Bobach for the line. Soren Bobach.
And it's not gold for Soren Bobach this year. He's into third place there, behind the Spaniard Andrew Blaines and Jonas Leanderson. So current bronze medal position, but I'm afraid he's going to be out of the medals today.
He's not going to survive with that, because the pace behind him is altogether too good.
He's just got a chance of a podium place, I would say, maybe 6th at the end of the day, which was what his goal was, in fact, for this race.
It could be another top 6 finish.
Meanwhile, Yannick Michiels is the one who is really making the pace at the first TV control. He was first through by 10 seconds. And Daniel Hoodman, meanwhile, comes into the finish here.
Hoodman coming round the corner. They've picked him up. They know he's coming. This is Daniel Hoodman, the first of the brothers home, striding for the line.
But
good finish, but off the pace.
He's off Jonas Leanderson's pace. He goes into second place, 9 seconds down.
Second place for Daniel Hoodman.
So he couldn't keep up with Leanderson's pace in the second half of the race there after a very, very good start. But Yannick Michaels, who is focused on this particular race amongst all others for a very, very long time, is the one we're really looking out for now.
Daniel Hubman actually managed to pick up a few places. He was fourth coming through the spectator control and ended up in second, although his brother Martin Hubman is hot on his tails. He was second through the spectator control, so hoping to pick up some more time on the last little loop. Very tricky loop at the end.
Now this is somebody with his eye on the line because he has increased the pace. It's Vildis of Lithuania, number 37.
Yeah, it's a good experienced competitor here. He too has saved a good bit of energy for the final run-in down the sprint here.
Knew exactly what to do to pick up the pace off the hill, coming into the line, and then enough momentum and flow to get himself round the line.
And into current 5th place.
Into current 5th place, a good finish from the Lithuanian. So still Lee Anderson sits on his mark up front. Through the park, the bells are ringing.
Yes, this is Martin Hubman coming out from the last control into the final run-in. He's going to be greeted by a round of applause.
Massive cheering from the Swiss
sound,
here.
A wall of sound. He enters as he comes round the run, fresh as fresh could be, because he is striding out magnificently as he came off that hill. He knew exactly how long he had to go, and he's going right through the line.
Oh,
that's a great run.
Very nearly into 1st place, but not quite. He's beaten his older brother by 7 seconds, but he's behind Jonas Lee Anderson, who is still the leader there. So
7 seconds between the Hubman brothers.
It's getting closer and closer, but Lee Anderson is hanging on here, the Swede.
Lee Anderson still has it.
Yes, the arena speaker is still in overdrive because he is his big favourite for the day. Yes, Catherine.
Interestingly, Jonas Lee Anderson had quite a slow start. The time to the first split, he was in 14th place, managed to pick it up to 4th, and then has been leading from control number 14. But that means that Yannick Michaels, who's had the fastest splits to the first 2 radio controls, could challenge this time. It's going to be very close.
This is Osterbro. We haven't really said much about him. Osterbro of Norway.
Yes, he's been the RAL on the scene for some while, Øystein Carl Osterbro, a very experienced Norwegian.
And this is Bostrom, Martin Bostrom of Finland. These are the men who will decide the outcome, without a doubt.
But he's down a little bit on time too. He's not going to match Lee Anderson's time here. It's not going to be his gold medal today. And you can see him crossing the field here to the TV control, and he's already 6-7 seconds down. So Martin Bostrom is a bit off the pace. There we are, 10-11 seconds down. He's not completely out of it, but I don't think he's going to catch
We can
Anderson.
take him further down the equation. We haven't seen Christian Jones much, number 44, the other British runner.
No, Christian Jones was 17th at control number 6.
The first faller, Michaels now. Will that be important? Because Michaels has lost a vital few seconds there as he tried to hurdle the fence. He was the first one we've seen falling at that particular obstacle. The Belgian has taken a knock. That could very well put him off his stride. But he has to pick up.
He seems to have recovered from it pretty well despite that.
But just at the line now, we've had Andreas Kiberts coming in to 5th place.
6th place, I think. No, hang on.
No, apologies, it wasn't Andreas Kiberts, who is falling through the rankings as his time is counting down. Amongst the others, he's not going to be in the top few.
Yannick Michaels went through the TV point 5.7 seconds down on Jonas Lee Anderson's time. I think that took some of the way out of him when he fell at that hurdle there.
Kiberts,
that was a mistake he made there.
Kiberts of Switzerland has also finished, as has Pitzrela, Jan Pitzrela, and here we have Yannick Michaels of Belgium coming into the arena, coming around the finishing corner. He's got the straight and then the long loop bend and the tight bend as he comes to the finish. This is how he went down, unfortunately. Just caught his trailing leg as he went down.
Yeah, and he looked in a bit of pain coming past here. Hodan, I didn't think he looked at all happy.
Some of his compatriots
sure he's struggling there.
Are holding their heads behind me here because they didn't like the way he went through the arena. They clearly felt he was struggling.
You look at the lead he had here when you're looking at the tracking, ahead of the two Hubman brothers, and then he came through control 13 and down on from there, and there finishing.
Osterbo.
Yep.
Osterbo of Norway has come home, so we have
12th place for him.
4 more runners on the course.
And here we've got Morten Boström from Finland coming out to the finish. Nudan
finishing strongly, first equal in his heat, and he's done well.
But at the same time, coming through the arena, the round of applause there was for Chris Jones, who's just gone through and punched spectator control. This is Morten Boström.
Boström finishes. We have Michaels, Jones and Lissell still to come.
Morten Boström came into 3rd place there, so this is going to be interesting to see if he's in fact going to be the bronze medalist, because if Michaels is really struggling and gets down on time yet further, we'll see. Here's Jyrka Lusel though, only 8.1 seconds down on the Anderson's time, so he's still in with a chance, coming down into the spectator area.
The final runner on the course now. What can he do when he comes into the arena? Can he pick up the pace enough?
He knows now that he's in the chance of a medal, and he's got it focused. You can see going through there.
The Swede is on the move because he has the finish in his sight.
And he is a very good sprinter, Jyrka Lusel.
That's him just gone past behind us. This is Michaels, the Belgian, coming round the finishing corner.
And he's lost the gold here. He's outside the gold medal time. He's still struggling.
He's clearly struggling, and that fall, the hurdle, has possibly cost him the championship. He knows it.
You can see it there. He's thrown his mat down. He was very angry with himself.
It looks as if he's in 3rd place.
Oh dear.
But according to that, he's level pegging with Boström.
Exactly.
So we may have a tie there. But let's see what happens with the Swede, Lissell. It's really all in his hands now, what he can do.
On my results screen, Boström is 0.1 of a second faster than Michaels.
Well, that's nothing, not more than a deep breath going
here
over
we've
the
got
line.
Lusel and Michaels on the tracking in the far corner of the park here, going through the last controls. And here, coming down to the finish now, the next one to finish is Chris Jones.
The final British runner, Chris Jones.
I think Chris will be a bit disappointed with this run. Qualifying 1st place in his heat was a great position, but maybe he ran it out and didn't quite have the legs to finish it off. But he gets a great round of applause from the crowd, who have supported him all the way. But unfortunately, finishing in 30th place there for Chris Jones.
And here's our Swedish friend, Jyrka Lusel. Now, Christian Jones, sorry. Will check his position, but this is the Swede. This is the one man who could throw a spanner in the works at this stage, passing his national flag at the top of the hill. Now, can he gain some speed and some pace coming off the hill? He is a good sprinter, as Clive said. He is giving it everything. He is blasting towards the line. Now, has he got the gas to make it to the line? To get over?
My God, this is close.
He is going to make it. He could very well make it. He's got 2 seconds. He's over. He's over. He's lost it. He is not going to win the medal, but it's a tremendous finish from the Swede.
And it's the bronze medal position for him. It's Jonas Lee Anderson holding on there for the gold. Martin Hubman has got the silver medal for Switzerland, and Jyrka Lusel has the bronze. And you can see how happy the Swedes are there with a 1st and a 3rd in the race today. It's made it for them.
Well,
and the Swiss, again, just between them, they also have a medal today after yesterday's disappointment.
2 medals out of 3 for Sweden, with Switzerland coming in between. Martin Hubman, the younger of the 2 brothers, coming in 3rd place. In 2nd place, I'm sorry. Splitting the Swedish effort. That was a magnificent effort at the end by Lissell, who, coming off the hill, Clive, had it in his grasp. He might not have known how close he was, but he was very, very close coming into the arena.
Yes, he was indeed, and I've seen him in a sprint race before going like that, and he really can sprint. And he didn't have Lee Anderson in the time he had on that occasion, and he won it. And he's had some very, very good results in his time. And so great stuff for the Swedes today. Jonas Leandersson, who was the arena speaker's choice, he's very happy with life. Our Swedish arena speaker, Per Forsberg, and then getting Jerker Lusel into the bronze. I don't think he's going to have much voice left after that. Morten Bostrom in 4th place, Yannick Michaels in the end, equal 4th place time as the results are taken to the nearest second. Daniel Hubman taking 6th place.
I think the most intriguing, apart from the overall finish, the most intriguing finish has been the Spaniard who managed to get himself into the top 10 completely from nowhere.
Yes.
I don't think anyone would have expected that. He started very early on. If we could just see, if I can't actually see where he started, but he was so far back in the early stages that he kind of caught everyone by surprise with his performance.
Yes, he did, and I'm fairly sure that'll be the best World Championship result ever for a Spaniard.
Well, he started in 28th position, so you know, he was there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I suppose he just came in under the radar. Nobody would have been watching him too much. But
well, he came through. He had a good position all the way through, but he was not someone anybody would have expected to get so high in the results, certainly. And here you can see the tracking on screen of Leandersson and one of the Hubmans, and Jerker Lusel will be Martin Hubman here, and their different routes. They didn't all take the same route. Follow them as they go around the course.
so what do you think were the key factors in the triumph, Leandersson's triumph? Eventually, we know what happened with the fall, which cost Michaels his position. He was going well at that time, but what were the positive things they did that took them through?
Well, Jonas Leandersson planned ahead very well, I'm quite sure, and decided on his route choice as well before he got to the place where he was going. He had an extremely clean run. You can see here he's being very, very direct and very, very determined on his tracking and the lines he's taking there. No mistakes in any of the route alternatives you can see. In fact, all three of them are following pretty similar routes here into these controls. Out in the park here, of course, it's very direct, but he was clearly extremely focused today, as also was Jerker Lusel and Martin Hubman. We expect this of the Swedes and the Swiss always, and it's the kind of race which we've seen so many, many times between these two very, very strong orienteering nations.
There were some stages in the race, though, where I think it's fair to say some of the decision making wasn't quite as efficient as the women did. Now, this was a man heading for the line, looking like he knew he was near it.
Yes,
he had it written all over him, and he gave it absolutely everything.
Right. He certainly did. That was very, very good. And overall, we can say that the men have strength in depth to the extent that the women don't in orienteering, and so you could see that in some of the performances, especially early on in the races.
And there'll be an interesting conversation between the Hubman brothers tonight.
Absolutely. Is Martin taking over the reins from Daniel and going to be the new Swiss star of the next few years?
But this is the man of the moment, without a doubt.
Yes, here's
he looked like he meant business in the first 10 strides. I mean, it was clear, and he looked confident, he looked organised, and he looked fresh as a daisy most of the course, and then he gave it everything in the last few stages.
He did. He's got a nice flowing running style, has Jonas Leandersson, and something he's you can see it also in the forest, that he's very, very nice runner.
Just a reminder of the results as we have them: Leandersson, Martin Hubman, Jerker Lusel, Martin Bostrom, Yannick Michaels, and Jones there, Christian Jones finishing we're confirming him finishing there at 8th place, 11.9 seconds. And Soren Bobach, the defending champion, finishing in 9th. Tue Lassen there, Scott Fraser of Britain coming in 13th place, Merle, who featured very early, Kibberts made an impression, Osterbo too, Stuyver, we talked a lot about Stuyver as he made his way through Murray Strain, had a good confident run finishing in the top 20, and then the other finishers as we go down: Vestergaard, Kivikas featured, Coupon, Simonon the Irishman, Petrezele. And there we have the other finishers as we go to the 40th place.
Okay.
And then 5 more to finish.
Yes, and Chris Jones, I think, in 8th place is a very, very good result for the Brits. I mean, Scott Fraser may be a bit disappointed. And the for a young Brit to come through in 8th position ahead of Scott and Murray, and both of them coming up into the top 20 as well. I would say the Brits are not delighted, but will be fairly quietly satisfied with the sort of race we've had to have got the positions they've done.
Well, it's been a great day for Sweden. They've taken the gold and they've taken the bronze medals to counteract everything Denmark did yesterday. It's been a fantastic afternoon here. The rain has begun to fall just as the race has come to a conclusion. It's been a tremendous weekend's entertainment and competition so far at the World Orienteering Championships 2015 here in Forres. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Clive, Catherine and myself, please join us again as we go through the middle distance running in Darnaway Forest. For the rest of the evening, goodbye for now.